Thank you. Welcome back, Ms. Bensuda. I thought that you were going to have lunch in the National Assembly, but you left. We did not. We invited you. No, we did. Good. So we resume from where we stopped. Of course, I know this second half will be a short one, though, because we have other sessions going on. Committees are also going with the budget. So Honorable Jambe will proceed with his questions. Within a span of 1 hour, we should be able to finish everything and then close for today. Thank you. Honorable, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Bensouda, I kindly want us to look at custody of records and devices that either may be surrendered to MOJ or may still be under your custody. And if I may ask, if we can have the list of all Janneh Commission related documents, which I believe you did submit, electronic files, devices that you and your firm may held at any point, and when and to whom they might be surrendered to.
I have given you the files that I have. These are my work files. As counsel, I open a file on every subject. The file contains notes, it contains copies of exhibits. When I tender documents at the commission, the secretariat takes charge of those documents. They never come back to me. If I want a copy, I ask for a copy from the secretariat. So I don't have custody of any official file. What I have might be when we were writing briefs, copies that I made, some of them are in my file. I provided what I have. And I have my work files, notes, orders, applications. When I make an application, I keep a copy before the commission, and these I have provided. I have even provided our notes, our handwritten proceeding notes. I've provided all the files. As regards electronic files, again, all electronic files were actually done by under the purview of the commission secretariat, not me. So they were handed over to the commission when they were ready. And what I recollect is that the electronic files, there were 3 electronic cassettes, discs. I think they are discs of all the work that Homeland Security did in terms of digitizing the exhibits. I don't know when National Records Office finished. I can't remember what happened to their digital records, but they should have it. Transcripts, the recording is with should be with, if the records were made, transcript records were made, I can't remember. But these are all listed in the report as handed over. They're listed in volume 1. So I don't have, for the record, I don't have any records of the commission. Whatever I have is what I copied or made for my purposes, and I keep as my case file. When I take any case, I have a counsel's file. What I tender into the court, I keep a copy. That's how I work. So I kept files on every subject, but these are not the official records.
Okay. I'm asking because I think there are certain materials that were needed and we couldn't really still lay hands on them, but as we progress, we will get to those things.
Well, I find that very surprising. Because after we submitted the report, I packed up my office and left the secretariat. They were supposed to come. They were supposed to wind up. That's their job. They are the custodians of all records. So
this is why we're trying to verify with you as well, just to ensure we're all on the same page. Yes, so just for clarity purpose, Do you know the status of any laptop, external drive, email accounts, servers used for the commission work?
No. No, I took my own laptop from my office. Anything that belonged to the commission was the responsibility of the secretariat. My staff also brought their own laptop for their work, for the work we did.
For the work of the commission?
For their work at the commission, yes.
At the
My staff,
commission.
the commission did not supply me with any device, whether it's me personally with a device. I don't know whether the state council had their own laptops. I can't remember. But from my office, I had my own laptop. My staff from my office had their own laptop. Even the interns that I later on engaged to help with the summaries of the evidence had their own laptop.
Okay. I also understand that from the council and as well as my colleagues who ask about some detailed cost, more especially around how some of the staffs were paid, more especially staffs that were recruited through your firm to support in the process of the commission. I think we will appreciate to understand in terms of staff, logistics, equipment, were borne by your firm versus the state. Clarify whether any reimbursement or markups were applied.
No, I was paid monthly, $450,000 is net. That was the only money I was ever paid. Neither I nor any of my staff received anything by way of allowances or honorarium. Counsel that came with me were paid by my firm, from senior associate counsel and all the interns that came, and I think altogether were 6. They were all paid by my firm. So in the end, I just wanted to finish and leave. So it didn't matter to me. So I just told the firm to pay.
What about other costs that may be incurred in the process of their work? How were those costs actually covered?
Like what cost?
For example, having a counsel from your firm traveling outside the Gambia to conduct investigations, how were those costs covered?
They were covered by the government.
They were covered by the government?
Yes. And I did not submit it through the commission. I made a recommendation for these 3 countries. I would have done more if money was available, but money was tight. So I made a case. The Ministry of Justice should have those letters. I made a case, for instance, we needed to go to an investigating team to go to the embassy in US because of some of the information we are already getting, the evidence that a lot was being done from the embassy in US by the president or through the embassy. So I wrote to the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, or the Solicitor General, one of them, and made a case and submitted a reason and justified why a trip would be useful. And I recommended the composition of the team. So each team was led by a lawyer paired with an investigator. In the case of, I think it was only in the case of Washington that Solicitor General went, but I have to refresh my record. Solicitor General and one of my counsel went to Washington, I think. But I have a report. I'm sure I have.
You have a report.
I think so. I should have a report.
Will you be in a position to share that report with us?
I'll look for it. Because everything relating to the commission was packed in boxes, and it took my office time to go through the archives. But I'll tell them to look. I
think that will be important for the committee.
Yes. I'll make a submission, and the AG, I think, got the money from the general travel budget of the government. These were funded from the general travel budget of the government, and all these missions. They were not funded from any commission budget. I wasn't aware of any commission budget. If there was one, it was never brought to my attention. My understanding was all the expenses of the commission was funded by the Solicitor General. That's what I understood. I was never shown any commission budget. And if you look at one of the recommendations the commission made was that in commissions of this nature, perhaps the financing should be done differently. It's in volume 1.
Right.
So it's there. So, but as far as the travel was concerned, I had too much work to say I'm going on a mission. But I thought it was critical that we went to certain key embassies. I would have sent one to Nigeria if the money was available also, because of the crude oil investigation. Would have been easier. But again, government was constrained. So as regards Panama, I was asked a question about Panama. Nobody went to Panama. We did a registry search. You can go online and pay a fee and do a registry search of companies in Panama. When it was not yielding anything that was useful, we suggested that we hire a law firm in Panama to do the investigation. The law firm, if I recollect rightly, said they could do it for $5,000. I think somebody must have seen that or heard that. That's what I reported. But I sent it to, I think I sent it to the ministry.
And was the law firm contracted?
No, because the ministry did not have funds. The same with Morocco. When the team came back from Morocco, their report suggested that there were properties in Morocco. So the question now would be we needed to hire experts locally for them to do the investigation. But unfortunately, there was no money as well. So that's where that one also ended. We would have also liked to send a mission to Hong Kong, because there was evidence of these Hong Kong visas or government passport projects. There is a whole volume on that, but there was no money to send anyone to Hong Kong. So therefore, the recommendation generally was that the government should follow up and do this investigation.
Coming back to the staffs that were recruited or recommended through your firm, will you be able to yield on the number of staffs that actually participated from your firm?
It's in volume 1 actually of the report. The report recognized all those who participated, and I think it was the acknowledgement. So if you look at page 3, acknowledgements, this is the Commission's report. You'll see the 4th paragraph.
Yeah.
It starts with the indefatigable. So you'll see there were so you'll see the Commission said the indefatigable and learned lead counsel, Ami Bensouda, who among others and with the substantial inputs of the Commission, did the difficult job of questioning witnesses expertly without fear. The contributions of her legal team have been very valuable to the work of the Commission. There were changes to the team during this period, but we would like to recognize the contributions of, and the names are listed. You see the names?
Yeah, I see the names. I just want to know the numbers.
So you'll see the first name, second name, third name, fourth name, fifth name, sixth name. Were all from my office, as well as if you go to the last 2 lines, you'll see the 7, 8, 9, and 10. Altogether, my office provided 10 lawyers at different times.
Okay, your office provided 10 lawyers.
10 lawyers at different, not at the same time, but at different times, yes.
I just want a better understanding. Having 10 lawyers, hired from your firm through a recommendation that you made?
They were not hired by the commission. I hired them to come and assist me.
You hired them to come and assist you.
Yes.
But then they have no connection or obligation in terms of either government contracting or hiring their services.
The government had no obligation.
So, from an ethics point of view, do you think it was ideal to expose individuals to government confidential files who have no binding contract with the government?
That's a good question. The commission, okay, the commission, as I said, is a mechanism. I was lead counsel. I brought an assistant, which was part of the contract that I could bring an assistant. Now, the records that they were asked to summarize were already in the public domain. No, there was nothing the commission considered that was not already tendered in the public, in the public space. So there was nothing confidential about it. In other words, they were just like they were interns for me. So they were part of my firm. They were bound by their contracts with my firm. So they came to assist me. So they were part of me. I took responsibility. But as I said, there was nothing absolutely confidential in the records that they deal with. These were exhibits, evidence that was already exhibited, tendered in public hearing and exhibited. And anybody could apply to have a copy. You pay the fees and you'll be given a copy.
Yeah, but I think in the process of the investigations, some of these materials could be treated as confidential materials. Because even in between the investigators and the commissioners, there was kind of a boundary in terms of what the commissioners were obliged to have access to in terms of documents, more especially around the work of the investigators. Before, in fact, getting to the reporting, I mean, or before getting to the report.
Well, you have a point about confidentiality, and it's not a point I'm trying to minimize, but I'm saying they did not handle anything confidential. And they were not expected to. They were just there to assist, to expedite the process.
Will it be right to say you and your office were effective center of coordination for the parts of the sales process?
My office?
Yes, because you know
my office, let me make it clear, my office took no part in any sale whatsoever. No counsel who worked with me took part in it. I did not. No counsel who worked with me took part in the sale. Absolutely nothing like that happened.
If you say you did not, how does the decision emerge to halt the sales, to suspend the sales?
I don't know. I know that Office of the President contacted the commission, but I wasn't there, so I don't really know. I wasn't okay with what.
You didn't really participate in any form to halt the process. You didn't also give any legal opinion in terms of advising for the sales to stop for some legal reasons.
No, nobody asked me, and I did not give any. Nobody asked for my opinion, and I did not give any opinion.
I think it will be, I know you were asked about this, but it will be also important to have a clarity on this matter. Comment on evidence that Secretariat officials felt sidelined or overruled by the lead counsel on matters of administration and record keeping. Because we also have a witness who actually complained that at some point she was sidelined in the administration and also in terms of the record keeping. A typical example I may give would be in the reporting. Said she wasn't even involved
Involved in what?
in the reporting, or the report have not been tendered to her for further submission, but all she realized was the report was sent to MOJ, and this was the second Secretary General who was appointed.
I don't understand what they're talking about.
What
report?
The Commission's report, the Janneh Commission's report, that is the volume 1 to 9. When the report was validated, I want to believe it was submitted further.
Validated. Sorry, I'm trying to follow. Validated by?
By the Commission.
The Commission wrote their report.
Right.
They sought an appointment with the President.
Right.
And went to the President and submitted the report at the office of the President. I was present.
Right.
It was not my report. It was the Commission's report. I was present though.
No, I understand.
It was submitted in the Cabinet office. The people there, the press was there. That's where it was submitted. So I don't know what this witness is talking about.
Yeah, what I am trying to talk about here is in the process of putting up that report.
I mean, writing the report.
In writing the report, the then secretary said clearly that she was sidelined in the entire process.
That's for the commissioners to answer. They were the ones writing the report.
So you didn't participate in the report writing?
No, we submitted briefs to the commissioners, and they wrote their report. They divided the subjects amongst themselves, and we assisted where we were told to assist in terms of summarizing the evidence. The brief was just, we had over 1,000 documents. So we had numerous exhibits. The exhibits should be on, they were digitized. So we had to, on every subject, pull out all the exhibits that were relevant and put it together and give it to the commissioner. So it was for the commissioners now to write their report. The report is the commission's report, and it's here. The reports are the 9 volumes. So I don't know what role the secretary felt she should have had. I'm sure it was the second secretary, because report writing started during the time of the second secretary. I don't know what role she believes she should have had, but that's a good question for the commissioners, not me.
Yeah, but what about the sales report?
Which one?
The sales that the Janneh Commission conducted.
Janneh Commission did not conduct sales. The Janneh Commission made an order as to how the sales should be conducted and put the secretary in charge of those sales. So it was the secretaries that conducted these sales. So
on behalf of the commission or what?
The commission.
I think that need to be clear here.
The commission.
Like Fatou Bojang and Mr. Bojang, Fatou Drame rather, and Mr. Bojang led sales in the country. And we want to understand.
The assistant secretaries.
Exactly.
But they were under the jurisdiction or under the supervision of the secretary.
Yes.
They don't appear in any order. No assistant secretary appears in an order. The order said that the secretary would be responsible for the sale. Now, how it was arranged, organized, that's the responsibility of the secretary. So the commission, the way the commission works, the commission makes an order. It works through orders.
Right.
So if it gives an order, and it's the order that has to be implemented. So, or the order has to be enforced, let me put it that way, because it has the same effect as an order made by the court. So if it says secretary, organize and do this, was for the secretary to go and do it. If there are reports back to the commission that was not properly done, it's for the commission now to look into it and take the appropriate action.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that, okay, technically you can say the commission was selling vehicles, but on the other side, that's not how really it works. The commission makes orders and somebody else executes those orders. And those orders can be appealed against. The only thing you can do is to appeal against them. If you don't appeal against the order becomes valid and permanent. There's nothing you can do. You can criticize it if you like, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, but...
So the order said, secretary, you should be responsible for sales and for everything. I did not take part in sales. So these questions about sales, I'd like to help you, but we did not. I didn't have time for sales in the first place. I had too much on my head. That's why I hired all these interns to come and help with summarizing the evidence. But sales, I have nothing to do with, and I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, you might not really have something to do with the sales, but having the fact that the order emerged from the commission, and also those that the responsibility was bestowed on were also staff of the commission. They're not outsiders. So this is why I'm putting this question to you, knowing the fact that you were the lead counsel, and that order cannot come without the involvement or the participation of the lead counsel. So I want to believe it will be also fair to seek clarity from the lead counsel to understand better. This is why I am asking, in the process of the report writing of the sales report, were staff within the secretariat exempted from the process, as claimed by one of the staffs?
The secretary was responsible, and the secretary's team. The secretariat was quite distinct from lead counsel's office.
I understand
The
that.
secretary was responsible for the sales.
But they work hand in hand.
No, we didn't work with them as far as the sales were concerned, because the sales is not illegal. Going to sell vehicles is not what lawyers do. It's not part of our legal mandate. So they were responsible for selling, they were responsible for setting up their teams, and they were responsible for submitting a report. We had no hand in the writing of reports about sale of cattle, sale of vehicles. Cattle certainly was outside the. So we had nothing to do with reports, nothing whatsoever.
Okay.
So I don't understand how anybody, secretary or assistant secretary, can come here and say they had no hand in writing.
Yeah, because if you are saying the secretary was leading that process,
yes.
From what we gathered from her, she did say she was not involved in that report writing. And it appears as if someone was upholding that particular responsibility in terms of authorizing who should do what and at what time.
Well, I don't know anything about that. To be honest, I don't know anything about that. She was in charge of the process after the first secretary left. The order never changed. And
Honorable,
I believe the assistant secretaries were set up as the operational whatever, and she remained responsible for the sales. And I don't know who wrote the reports, but they must have been signed. The reports must have been signed.
yeah, Honorable Chair, I want to just comment to give some guidance and some clarity. The reports, according to the testimony of the second secretary or the assistant secretary to the commission, the sale reports were prepared by her assistants. So there were other assistant secretaries in the commission that were sort of like her juniors, below in rank, even at the Ministry of Justice where they came from. And they were the ones that went into the field to conduct the sales after the first secretary left. So as the first secretary was there, he himself was taking part in the sales with these junior secretaries as well. But after he left, the main secretary, Mr. Ramatullah Saad, did not go into the field to conduct sales. The two that went into the field to conduct sales were Ms. Fatou Drame and Mr. Keba Bojang, and they prepared the sale reports, which unfortunately are not signed. That's how they've submitted. in their testimonies here, they've stated that it's an oversight on their part for not signing the reports, but yes. And that even the report was not initially the first submissions were not submitted to the secretary, Ms. Ramatulai Sar, assistant secretary. Yes, so in this context, it is the seal reports that are being mentioned, that she did not take part in the seal reports, not the commission's reports. So I just wanted to make that clarity for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. That's correct. That's correct.
Thank you, Council. I was not going to come to this, but I think we are not still clear. That is, as to how investigations were directed. And if you can guide the committee, how were investigators directed, who actually decides, and how did the commission actually came with a list of potential target witnesses to be investigated. I think if we can get clarity on that would definitely help.
How investigations were organized, as I said, it's in volume 1, page 12. And how the subject of investigations were identified. This is from the TOR of the Commission. All the institutions and companies to be investigated were listed. They are listed in the TOR. So each institution was taken, the MD was written to, the reports that the TOR was referring to were collected, and that's how we started. So if there is any gap, and then the investigators were assigned different institutions. So one investigator was assigned, for instance, GAMTEL, another one Social Security, another one. So this was organized in a meeting. It was assigned in a meeting. So that is how it started. And as I said, when I started, I wrote many letters, over 100, to the different institutions, asking them to submit their report. So it was based on whatever they submitted that investigation started.
No, this is where, in fact, we needed a better understanding. Who actually identify those that were meant to be investigated? And who also direct which investigator should look into a particular witness? As you alluded, you have written so many letters to different individuals or companies for them to be investigated. Will it be correct to say it was your office who would identify those that were supposed to be investigated and how they were supposed to be investigated and who should actually investigate them?
No, the Commission of Inquiry legal notice, which was issued by legal notice of 15 of 2017, set out the institutions that needed to be investigated. Central Bank of the Gambia, Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, Ports Authority, Telecommunications Company Limited, National Electricity Company Limited, Assets Management and Recovery Corporation, Gambia National Petroleum Corporation, and the other public institutions and government sources. These, so if you look at specifically, also subsection, paragraph 2, you have bank accounts, that were open. So 131 known properties, 14 companies, 89 private bank accounts. So there was also a schedule. So these are what needed to be investigated. Now, in terms of the assigning investigators. When the investigators were sent, some of them had already started investigating certain aspects. So, for instance, there was already a report on PACPEC. There was also a report on some other aspects of, I can't remember all offhand. So those investigators that had already started investigating those aspects stayed on those aspects. And then in the course of the meeting, we just see who had a high workload, and the work was arranged accordingly. And this was done at a meeting that which I with the investigators and myself. So the work was then distributed. So we carried on from there.
So if you said you had a meeting to assign who should do what, who do you have this meeting with?
The investigators. I
The
had
invest-
meetings. I had meetings.
Who chaired the meeting?
I did.
You did.
Yes.
So meaning,
We agreed.
We-
I would chair the meeting and we would
will
agree.
will it be right to say you were the chief investigator?
No.
Having you chairing that meeting with the team of investigators?
No, it would be very wrong to say that. Chairing a meeting of investigators at which we agreed who would do what does not make me head investigator. I'm not an investigator. I'm not a police officer. I cannot investigate.
Yeah, you are not a police officer, but being a lead counsel, I believe the team were also relying on your expertise,
My legal expertise.
your legal expertise to form legal opinions or to give legal advice as to where it was necessary for investigations. Is that right?
Partly.
Partly.
I already explained this, how it works. When they submit a report, I would advise them whether its report is sufficient, it's not sufficient, you need to do more, you need to go there, you need to dig deeper. I would advise.
So out of curiosity, who was leading the investigations then?
No one was leading the investigation. Each of them were independent. They were not leading. Nobody was needed to lead anyone because we were investigating different organizations. They did not overlap. Each investigator had his area, so there was no need to have a chief investigator. Each investigator had a separate area.
But there must be a line of reporting and also a line of taking instructions or authority in terms of what one was required to do.
No, there wasn't. It was a pan. We worked as a team, as a group. There was no line. The reports were submitted to me. There was no line between me and any investigator. I worked with them each directly depending on the area they were assigned.
Who prepares and coordinates the asset declaration form for close associates of the ex-president?
Who coordinates?
Yes, who prepares and coordinates the asset declaration forms for close associates of the ex-president?
I'm sure we had an input in preparing it, the asset declaration form. I'm sure council must have, my legal team must have prepared it and submitted it to the commission for them to review and approve. And as to who coordinated it, the secretariat coordinated asset declaration form. The secretariat coordinated everything relating to witnesses. We would prepare witness summonses and send it to the secretariat.
So, meaning that responsibility goes to the secretariat?
Yes. All summonses, notices were served by the secretariat. All witnesses were contacted by the secretariat. All correspondence with witnesses and their lawyers came through the secretariat.
So, the meeting with the investigators to prepare them for the tax ahead, was this minuted?
I don't know. I'm sure notes were taken, but no formal minutes. I'm sure notes were taken.
If notes were taken, who should take notes for that specific meeting?
One of the lawyers would take notes.
And was there any reporting format?
No.
From the team of investigators, either to the secretariat or to your office?
No reporting format. They reported they were trained investigators. They already had their reporting format.
So how do you conclude in terms of which witness was supposed to appear for public hearing?
They would identify in they would do a report, and in the report will indicate who they met, who they interviewed, which statements they reviewed, and so at the end, you'll pick out all the witnesses from the statements.
If you said they prepare a report.
And then we list the witnesses and send it to the secretariat every day to tell them that these are the witnesses that are expected to appear.
If you said they prepare a report, that is the investigators, just to refresh your mind, I think a minute ago, you said they were not preparing reports, nor were they taking minutes, but instead notes.
I think we are mixing two things up.
Please, let's make a clarity.
Investigators prepare reports. You asked about whether we had meetings and whether minutes were taken. I said minutes were not taken, but notes would be taken. You said, ask who would take notes. I said one of the lawyers would take notes for me. They'll take notes so that I can follow up because I was coordinating the process.
But I also asked about the reporting line and who were they reporting
There is no
to?
reporting line. They report to me directly. There was nothing between me and any investigator.
So meaning they report to you and as well as take either advice or recommendations from you as to who was due to be investigated.
It didn't work that way.
How does it work?
I think I've explained this over and
Please.
over. With due respect,
Please.
I have explained this. This is a process we lawyers deal with all the time. When any client comes to us and wants to sue someone, for instance, they tell us their story, and we tell them what we need in terms of we guide them as, okay, you've told this story. On this issue, you said, for instance, I bought this land, the neighbor came and said it was his land, and so on and so on. We start. Why are the witnesses? You said you bought this land. Who was there? From who did you buy it? And you start identifying who should be called. Now, the police investigators are trained. So when they go and inspect, like, for instance, let's say Pakpek, there were reports that were about tax, that there was so you have a report. They look at the report, they see, identify the persons who were involved throughout the report, persons who are responsible or not responsible, persons who are involved, and they list them out. And from that list, they, in their own opinion, will conclude and say, in their conclusion, they'll say from this, that, and that, we believe that A, B, and C ought to be, statements ought to be taken from A, B, and C, or further investigations need to be done. It depends on the conclusion. And from that, I, as a lawyer or one of my team, will lead the report, and we will form our conclusion as to who needs to be called to make a statement, or who needs to be called to come and give evidence, to testify. So that is how it works.
I think, this is even my point.
Yes.
That is to say, witnesses that were supposed to appear for public hearing or for their statements to be obtained. Part of it was advice through your office.
Part of it was advised by a lawyer, yes.
Let's just say through your office, because this is why from the start I was trying to question as to some of those lawyers that were hired through your firm. What legal binding do they have? Because I'm not too sure if they can directly advise the investigators as to what they can do from a legal point of view. I would assume that advice should emerge from the office of the lead counsel.
Yes.
Right?
They would advise me.
And you advise the investigators.
Yes.
I think I would conclude on that particular matter, because that was exactly the answer I was looking for.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Now we can move on. I want us to look at volume 5 of the report.
Volume 5,
Yes.
Commission report. I don't have it. Can I have a copy?
Page 37, you can even have mine. In volume 5,
Yes.
one Mr. Samuel Sar reported and signed an agreement with payments from chantries were to be made to a bank. That is, I wouldn't like to read the bank number actually. Bank account, whatever, held at the United Overseas Bank, 2, Kwedi Begus, 1211 Geneva, Swaziland. At the time, the account holder is currently unknown. It is alleged that the former finance is aware and that the account is government account. What actions do you take during this moment of investigations with regards to this specific bank account?
I can't remember, but the findings and recommendations are at page
I think you can look at 37.
40 and 41.
Okay, good.
I can't remember whether any action was taken. But the findings and recommendations are at page 40 and 41 of the report.
Yeah, but will you be able to tell us about this account?
No.
If findings were made or if findings were not made, why findings were not made?
No, I can't tell you. You'll have to ask the commissioners.
What about the Japanese grant and account administered?
Whatever was found on the Japanese grants and account is in the report.
Yes, I understand it's in the report.
Yes.
I understand it is in the report. You know, Ma, we could read the report without really having you here. The reason why we have you here is to give us a better understanding on the content of that report and also your participation in the process. So I will definitely indulge you to provide us answers to the effect.
I will try my best.
So should I expect the answers on a later date or?
No. There is nothing for me to add. This is the report of the commission. Investigations were carried out. All the findings are here. Whatever is not here was not investigated.
Yeah, but then we want to know what is in that report.
Which report?
That you have on volume 5. This is why I referred you to volume 5.
Volume 5 is the commission's report. So the report is self-explanatory. The report was reviewed by government and their white paper is there also. So I cannot add to the report, unfortunately. I can't add anything to the report.
Can we look at the issue of Mr. Fadi George Mazegi, witness number 19 of the Janneh Commission? I believe he testified that there was a €1 million account transferred to the government of the Gambia, which triggered an investigation by the Belgian authorities. Could you tell us about these said funds?
No, it's 7 years ago. I can't tell you. Whatever is in the report.
It's in page 33. I can also refer you to page 33.
Yes. Yes, I see it. What's the question?
Yeah, the question is, we just want to know what really triggered an investigation around that particular transfer of funds to the Gambia government account, and what would that account look like? Was the transfer done?
No. Mr. Fadi Magezi, note, Mr. Fadi, Judge Magezi, witness number 19, testified that that 1 million euro transfer to GTG triggered an investigation by the Belgian authorities. Note 94, transcript of Monday, 25th September 2017. So this is merely quoting what Fadi Magezi said in his witness statement. I think it's in relation to page 32. December, there is a table right at the bottom. It says 1st December 2011, Global Trading Group NV paid as an initial deposit in November 2011 for securing the purchase of Boeing 757 Global Trading pro forma invoice number 1 million. So this is merely noting as a point of reference that Mr. Fadi Magezi had said that when this 1 million euro was paid to Gambia government, it triggered an investigation into Belgian authorities, by the Belgian authorities. It means it was flagged. It was flagged by the Belgian authorities. That's what is being noted here. So this is if you look at this is a report on the Qatari grant and how the Qatari grant was spent, I believe. So from the Qatari grant, certain payments were made to companies owned by ex-president. So that's what is being summarized in this table. Who the money was paid to, the money was paid to, how it was paid, and the amount that was paid. So you will see the list. 23rd November, there's a name. Cash withdrawal request was made by Office of the President and collected by that person. 1st December, cash withdrawal request made by the Office of the President and collected by that person. The amount stated. 1st December, same person. When it came to the last one, paid. The money was paid to Global Trading Group NV, $1 million as a deposit for payment of a pro forma invoice. So that is also stated. So the details were also indicated. So this is merely a note to this table. I don't know whether that helps. The subject of investigation were the Qatari grant. The Kingdom of Qatar made a grant, gave a grant to Gambia government, and this table is showing how the money was actually spent.
Yes, so my question was going to be, was any amount found in that account in the course of the Janneh Commission's investigations?
No.
No. The account was zero?
No, that was not the purpose of the investigation. This is merely showing that money was paid to Global Trading Group, which is not a government account. And that is why the matter was investigated. Qatar gave money. The money was spent in certain ways. And one of those ways is paying a deposit to a private company of 1 million euro. So that is what this is about.
Okay, I have very few questions now. Mohammed Bazi,
Yes.
did he form part of those that were supposed to be investigated?
Yes, he was named a close associate.
Associate. Do you have an idea how he left the country whilst investigations were ongoing?
No, he said he was sick. If I recollect, he applied for permission to go for medical treatment and did not come back.
He applied through who? The government or through the commission?
His lawyer applied to he had appeared on various dates. So then when he was asked to come again, He sent a request with medical papers that he needed to go on treatment. That's what I remember.
Yeah,
When he left, he did not come back to the commission. He applied to the commission.
he applied to the commission.
Just like when you summon, and he applied and said, you know, this time he cannot come because he has to go on medical treatment.
So that
was
that application would be addressed to the chairperson of the commission or to the lead counsel?
no, to the chairperson of the commission.
To the chairperson.
It was sent to the secretary. Addressed to the, it would be either addressed to the secretary or the chair, but it would be to the commission. Everything that was sent to the commission was addressed to the secretary. It's in volume 1.
So at this moment, was Mr. Bazi having an access to his passport, his travel passport? Was it seized or what?
I can't remember. Can't remember whether his travel documents were seized.
I want to believe the passport was seized, just to give you a refresher here, because I would want to know, or we would want to know, how did he obtain that passport, considering the fact that he was listed under those who were supposed to be investigated? I think it will be important to
I
understand.
cannot remember with seizing the passports of Mr. Bazi being seized. I'm not sure I can remember. But there must be an order allowing him to, you should be able to have access to that order, allowing him to travel. But if passport was seized, it would be
Chair.
It would be with the secretariat.
I want to apply that we get the application that granted Mr. Bazi to leave the country on health conditions.
I'm not sure he was here. I think, but you can check it. I think he might have been abroad and then sent an application that he cannot come because he is sick. But the details are hazy.
And
so, Honorable, so if that application is made to the chairperson, of course we'll have the chairperson. We will take note of that.
Yes, definitely. It will be sent to the.
yeah, because that is my confusion here.
There should be
Chair.
a transcript. You look for the transcript.
That's
if you
fine.
have the transcripts, since you have the.
We're
showed
supposed
the
to have the chair.
transcript of
The
Mr.
chair will be coming, so we'll take note of that.
Yeah, because what confused me, Chair, is Mr. Bazi formed part of the list of those that were to be investigated, and his passport was seized. Now, the question is, how does he leave the country before, in fact, making an application to the commission that he was sick and then he cannot take part in the public hearing? I think that should be
He did take
a
part.
concern.
He did take part. Mr. Bazi appeared many times. Many times. So,
But
there was an occasion, I believe. But let me just look at the report. It's not in the report. But they were very active. They not only took part, but they went to the Court of Appeal. They appealed against all the commission interim orders, both him and his partner. They went to court throughout the process. They challenged the commission and their rulings from the courts, the Court of Appeal on their applications. So they're very active. They cooperated fully. But I remember that after several appearances, I think finally he did write to say he was sick. That's what I recollect anyway, off head. But if the passports were seized, then the secretariat had them. We don't keep passport, lawyers as the lawyers. If there was, but I can't remember.
But it might be in the hand of the investigators.
No, the investigators don't take part in commission proceedings at all. They did not take part.
So, meaning, if the passport was seized, it should be in the hand of the secretariat.
Yes, if it was seized by the commission.
Yes.
But I can't remember.
It was seized, actually.
Okay, I can't remember.
It was seized.
7 years. I can't.
It was seized. From the tip, in fact, we got, even the day he was leaving the country, there were 1 or 2 calls made to inform members of the commission that Bazi was leaving, and also to give members of the commission a tip that
Can't remember.
how he obtained the passport to travel out of the country.
I can't remember.
I wish you can definitely recall some of these things. That is going to really help
I can't.
our
To be honest,
work.
it's 7 years and I have done thousands of things since then. I don't pack all these details in my head. But if my memory is refreshed with documents, then I will remember. In fact, I had to go and read a lot of these things to just try to recollect some of the things that had happened. But I can't really remember Bazi fleeing the jurisdiction. I can't remember. I can remember Tony Gattas, but Bazi, I can't remember. But it should be in the report. Volume 9. Do you have volume 9 about Bazi? There should be a chapter on Bazi. You have volume 9? Volume 9 contains a summary of the reports on every individual close associate. I think it's the close associate volume. Seven, Muhammad Bazi. To 27, 277, Bazi. Unfortunately. Yes, page 123, you have Muhammad Bazi. Okay, I can read it for you.
Yeah, well, you can guide us, yes.
Page 123, every close associate has a chapter, and if you look at 5, paragraph 5, page 123, it says, since his last appearance before the commission on the 18th of January 2018, Bazi received 4 summonses to appear before the commission but did not appear. In regards to his, then skipping the dates of the summonses were indicated. In regards to his February appearance, the commission received a signed doctor's note from one Dr. Basel Enchit, an orthopedist specializing in sports medicine, claiming that Bazi was his patient and was complaining of severe pain in his neck, lower back, right hand, and left leg. The note further stated that Bazi had an appointment for an MRI on the 23rd January 2018. With regards to the appearance June 3rd, Bazi's counsel wrote a letter on 4th June to say that Bazi verbally informed her he would send a letter to inform the commission that he could not attend on the scheduled day. The reasons being that he was observing Ramadan and he had grave concerns after his name was placed on the U.S. Office of Asset Control Special Designated Nationals and Blocked Persons list, and his primary focus was then to clear his name. So regarding the summons of June 12, Bazi's counsel wrote to the commission on the 18th of June that Bazi received the summons at his office on the 13th of June, but she had not received any communication from him on the matter, and some consideration should be given to the fact that Eid was on the 15th June. So then it talks about the OFAC designation, that he was designated as a terrorist being investigated by the U.S. Department, and by the companies, then and so on. I don't see anything here about his passport being seized. He was already overseas. So the issue of Bazi running to the airport and the commission being told and all that, I can't remember, because he was already outside the country when he wrote to say he was sick. His doctor wrote to say he was sick, he cannot come back. He cannot come to answer. Then next it was Ramadan. Then next he was declared as a terrorist and by United States government. So I can't remember the story about Bazi being at the airport or whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that wouldn't form part of the report.
No, but it doesn't
But-
make sense. If Bazi was already outside
Yeah.
and he was summoned whilst he was outside, it means he had his passport. So I don't understand about
No,
this.
I want to believe then the first summons Bazi was within the country. He was not outside.
I can't remember. But
It was when there was pressure on him was when he left the country.
I can't remember. To be honest, you said the chairman is coming, he might be able to shed light. But I can't remember those details. It's certainly not reported by the commission.
And finally, the persona non grata that was granted to Bazi, what legal basis were relied on?
It's in the report. The report indicated the legal basis for it. The commissioner's persona non grata, I think it's in volume 1. The commissioners gave a legal basis for it. I think volume 1. On the recommendations, I think it should be there. Okay, there's a heading, page 32, persona non grata. Page 32. And the paragraph reads, the evidence shows that the persons mentioned below are all non-citizens and virtually non-residents of the Gambia. They were painfully exploitative and contributed nothing or very little to the economy or welfare of the Gambia. Most have no respect for Gambians or Gambian institutions. In their quest for wealth, they focus only on profits, mostly unlawfully obtained through bribes and other illegitimate means, including collusion with ex-President Janneh. They greatly contributed to the near ruin of the Gambia. We therefore recommend that the following persons be immediately declared persona non grata and be specifically banned from the Gambia. On top of the list is Muhammad Bazi, and there are about 11 of them. So that's the justification that the commission gave.
Okay, with that justification, what were recovered from these people in terms of assets, in terms of bank accounts, you name it?
Well, that question has to be put to the government because we made recommendations and it was for the government to do the recovery.
Yeah, but I believe as part of your recommendations, you were equally specific to say A, B, C, D were their belongings and they either need to be forfeited or so. Or the government was just blindly seizing some of their assets without a prior knowledge of what really belongs to them?
I don't know. As I said, whatever the commission recommended is in the commission report. Regard to each one of them, it's in the commission report. Now, what steps the government took in relation to the commission's report with respect to these people, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I understand it forms part of the report and all not. But again, I believe that legal advice was coming from the office of the lead counsel?
No.
Where was it coming from?
We,
In terms of coming up with a persona non grata and also forfeiting the assets and the accounts? Where was that legal base formed or opinion formed?
Honorable member,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
commission were 3 experienced commissioners. I was a lawyer, I was not the commission. This report are the reports of the commissioners, not the lawyer. Every recommendation, every finding, every recommendation was a finding and recommendation of the commissioners, not the lawyers.
Yeah,
I take no responsibility for any recommendation or finding.
but at no point.
Sorry, all the reports are signed by the commissioners. The 3 gentlemen who were commissioners, they signed all the reports. So,
Ma,
yes,
I just want to believe that the report that was written by the commissioners, that opinion must be formed by either the lead counsel or the investigators, because it must be the outcome of the investigations that would influence or direct what recommendations the commission or the commissioners might conclude on.
the commissioners were not a rubber stamp. They were the people responsible. I was assisting them. It's like saying whatever judgment the judge gave, it was directed by the lawyer. That in itself, with respect to it, is a rather offensive conclusion to make. The commissioners, these were responsible people chosen by the president to investigate. Everybody else who was there were just assisting them.
Ma, but still, this commissioners is just one of them who has a legal background. And however, they also rely on the work of the lead counsel and the investigators to form part of their opinions.
You'd have to ask them. We did our work in terms of presenting all the evidence, and when we are asked, we summarize the evidence and give it to them. And that is our responsibility. The rest is the work of the commissioners. So to what extent they relied on the lead counsel and to what extent they relied on the investigator, that's for them to answer. But these reports are the reports of the commissioners. I am not a member of the commission.
I understand that,
I
ma.
was sent by the Attorney General. I was appointed by the President.
Very well.
I was not part of the commission. I
Very
was sent
well.
by the Attorney General to assist the commission.
Very well.
So I cannot take responsibility. And as I said, we are an insult to the commissioners to even tell them that it was I who was directing them or advising them as to what recommendations and findings they should make. Even were I to do that, I don't think. Let me leave it at that.
I just want to believe that anything that was legally related, they must sought the advice of the lead counsel's office.
They should, but in not all occasions they
And
would.
are you saying they never sought the advice of the lead counsel's office on issues that are legally related?
I was there to advise, to assist them, and it includes to advise. And how did I advise? On public record. I made my address in public. I submitted a submission, long submission. It's in the records as to my views about the evidence that was led. I also had to help them summarize the evidence because the evidence was, the scope of the investigations was very wide. So for them to be helped to pull the exhibit, they would give us a list in the morning sometimes. They want exhibit A, B, C, D, and then the exhibits would come. My advice would be sought, but the chair was a lawyer, more experienced than I. So they didn't have to take my advice. And we did not agree on some things, but it was their role. So the way the question is put is really, the premise of the question is not correct. It's The premise itself of your question is not correct.
What makes it wrong?
That is not how commission, because the commissions are independent.
Yeah, the
they
commission
cannot-
are
yes.
independent,
Yes,
but it is constituted
yes.
by different facets,
No,
from the secretariat to the lead council and to the commissioners, form what we call the Janneh Commission.
no.
And each has a responsibility. For example, the commissioners cannot go and do investigations. And I'm not even sure if the commissioners can have access to what have been, to issues that are under investigations. So for me, in terms of reporting, in terms of making decisions, the commissioners must sought the advice of the office of the lead counsel.
No, they don't have to.
They don't have to.
No,
All right, it's good that
they don't have to.
the chair is coming here anytime soon. So we will clarify this with him.
They don't have to. And if they do, they don't have to accept my advice. They're not bound by anything.
No, not necessarily they have to accept your advice, but necessarily they need to sort your advice as a team.
No, they don't have to. I present the evidence and I can give them my opinion. That's the brief. This is my opinion. And they can ask me, Counsel, do you have an opinion on this? I can give them my opinion. But just like all impartial tribunals, it's just your counsel is going to be helping you, I'm sure, putting the report together. She can have an opinion. You don't agree with, tell him, look, we don't agree with you. You know, but you can say, our counsel, perhaps your chair is not a lawyer, maybe you are disadvantaged. But the chairman, that's why the chairman, the constitution says the chairman has to have the same experience as a judge of the High Court. So
that would be for a commission of inquiry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not a special select committee.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm just drawing parities. The judge, the commission of inquiry, that's what we are talking about. SBS Janneh is the most experienced lawyer in the bar. He had a legal opinion on everything. My role was to actually coordinate the evidence and present it to them. Not necessarily as to give them legal advice as to what they're supposed to do. No, my role is to coordinate the evidence, sieve the evidence. Otherwise, they can be there for years going through this file, this report. I am there, I coordinate the evidence, bring it, sieve it, take out what is not relevant, or bring it all to them and tell them, listen, sorry, I shouldn't tell you.
No, you can, ma. Feel
you.
free.
No, sorry, I do apologize.
No, it's all right,
No,
seriously.
I do apologize.
No, seriously.
There's acceptable behavior and there isn't. Now, I coordinate, bring all the documents together, bring the evidence, tender it. Sometimes I tender everything. But then when I come to summarize, I have an opinion. I say, well, this and that. Sometimes I don't. I say, well, this really, we cannot send all these documents to the committee. For what purpose? This one doesn't go to any issue. So I discard it. But my role is to help. That is the help they need, not the help in making a decision. No, they don't need any help in making a decision.
Ma, this is even my point.
Yes.
That part of your role is to coordinate the evidence
Yes, that
and put it before the commissioners.
That I accept.
And that you present to the commissioners could form part of the decisions they reach at.
They have to look at, that's what they rely on to reach a decision.
Perfect. This is my exact point here.
Okay, now I understand.
Thank you.
So all the evidence that's presented is what they will rely on to come to a decision. They'll review the evidence. They might review what I said in my brief. Sometimes my brief is not comprehensive. I didn't address on everything. But they will, you know, one of them was a seasoned accountant. For instance, you had so many accounts. They didn't need a brief on the accounts. So they will go through the accounts, form their opinion, right? Persona non grata, they don't need to consult me. They've seen all the evidence. So they don't need to consult me in making a decision. That's what I'm trying to say. This report is the commission's report. The three of them appointed by the president, working together, came up with this report.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
I think, yeah, I think we can close it here.
I think Honorable Mr. Janneh is satisfied now.
I'm very satisfied.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, ma.
Okay, you're going to close. There's just one thing I would like to raise, if I may. With your permission and with the greatest respect, I must say that thank you for really giving me the opportunity to speak at length. You know, I teach, so I tend to perhaps talk too much. I just want to sound a note of warning, and I hope it will be taken in good part. You do have your mandate, and I've raised this, but I'm not going to raise the very issue that I raised before. I'd just like to point out that we are all working, all the committee, not we, but the committee, the Commission of Inquiry, this committee, and the Commission of Inquiry are all working within a constitutional framework. The Constitution set up the framework for commissions of inquiry. It sets up their powers, their duties, and how their duties could be assigned, and what powers they have. Insofar as the decisions of the Commission of Inquiry were concerned, they were appellable to the Gambia Court of Appeal. So if they are not appealed against, they are binding, and therefore nobody can overturn those decisions. You can criticize them, but there's nothing you can do. But because the decisions are there, that's the order of the commission. I have a sense of discomfort in a committee of the National Assembly bringing back commissioners who are functus to ask them to explain what they did. It's like the committee is setting itself as a body that can review the work of the commission. And I think we have to be very wary of going down that path, because these are voluntary, commissioners volunteer. They are not paid. In fact, there is a specific section in the Commission of Inquiry Act which says that they cannot be paid any remuneration. They can be reimbursed. So what they are given is an allowance. So it's entirely voluntary. They are not paid any salary. And whatever they paid, it has to be by a warrant of the president. It has to be approved by the National Assembly. I cannot remember whether this was done or not. I think we have to be careful that we do not what we do does not operate or have the effect of becoming a disincentive to public citizens serving commissions of inquiry. We have to be one. Secondly, I think the legality of some of the things we are doing, the constitutionality of what the committee is doing is important. I cannot conceive any situation in the laws as they are that would give the National Assembly the power to set up a committee to review what a commission of inquiry does. It's not in the law. And so we have to be also very mindful of that. Thirdly, I think also, finally, I won't keep you here. As I said, the commission is functus. They are done. This is historic. Whatever they did, they can be criticized. Okay, they didn't do this, they didn't do it. But these are private gentlemen and a gentle lady. In my submission and humble submission, they ought never to have been brought before this committee to explain what they did and did not do. As far as the assets are concerned, that's different. I am different. I'm not saying I shouldn't be brought back, because I was hired. My salary, I was being paid money to help the Commission of Inquiry. You can summon me and ask me questions. I have no problems with that. But I don't think I am in a different category from the commissioners. Certainly, if the commission made orders, it's just like court. They made their order is the same, has the same effect as an order of a court, the judgment of a court. If a judge makes a judgment, there is a whole apparatus that should enforce the judgment. I do not conceive of any committee calling a judge to come and explain their judgment. You won't do that, because instinctively we know that that cannot be. So I think the same privilege ought to be accorded to commissioners. But if they did make orders, and they did, in terms of sale of vehicles, I think those who were responsible should be should be investigated. How was it done? Who was responsible? Rather than was the order proper? Because the order is binding. Proper or not, it is binding. because it has the same effect as a judgment of the court, of the High Court. So these are some of the comments I wanted to make. I thank the courtesy that I have been accorded, both from council and from members of the committee. And I do apologize if I was a little bit, perhaps at the beginning, impatient. Let me use the word impatient. That I appreciate that you're trying to do the best you can under the circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Bensouda. We appreciate your coming. Of course, I think your testimony will help this committee to have a conclusion on our report as well. I wouldn't want to comment on the other issues that you talk about. Yes, I know the commissioners who sat before this committee, we as a committee did not fault them. I think it came out of the public concern. And of course, bringing commissioners to come and help this committee to get information about what happened. And if I am correct, that was the basis of the committee. So that was why when we brought the chairperson and then the other commissioner, it was just only for them to support this committee to get information. So that, you know, what is going on, what is circulating, you know, all around will be cleared as well. Of course, the National Assembly will sort that out. So we appreciate a lot for the concern that you've raised, and we will take note of it very seriously. And of course, we will do the right thing as well.
Just what is circulating? But Mr. Chairman,
the
elephant, sorry, no, I'm not asking a question. That's rhetorical. The elephant in the room. Nobody asked me whether I bought assets, how many cows I bought, how many vehicles I bought. That is also circulating. You don't have questions about how many assets I bought? I was waiting to be asked.
You are being asked now. Did you buy any assets?
You don't have evidence that I bought assets. I thought you were going to put evidence of the number of cattle I bought and the number of vehicles.
Honorable?
Yes.
I want to state clearly for the record and categorically that the National Assembly and this Special Select Committee in particular does not focus its work or does not lay its focus on or rely on rumors or the questions out there, whatever it is that is out there, to when it brings witnesses to testify. What the committee and the National Assembly as a whole relies on is the evidence that it has received forms part of the public record, public documents, but also when it started inviting witnesses, asking for what they have and doing its analysis. And that is what led to every single witness that has sat in that chair you're currently sitting, or those that testified online. It's the evidence that led us or led this committee to invite those witnesses to come and clarify or answer questions. It is not because of what is being posted on social media or traditional media. None of that's not what the Assembly would rely on. And to even think that the Assembly would rely on what is posted on social media or what is in the traditional media, it's very, I wouldn't want to use the word, it would be disheartening to think that anyone would think that the only reason some witnesses are brought before this committee, it's because something is posted on social media or something is said on social media. Any question that is asked here is objective, and in the 4 or 5 days that you've appeared before this committee, if a question about your role or whether you've purchased any assets did not come up, it's because the committee does not deem it relevant to ask. And it's because also the committee has not seen or in its analysis and its gathering of evidence, has not seen anywhere where you've bought assets. And to be very fair to all buyers, we've had a couple that have testified, and the reason they have testified is to determine or ask what the sale process was like from their perspective, so that the committee can understand more what the sale process was, but not to witch hunt buyers or to go after buyers for no particular reason. And another thing I want to say is that it is agreed between you and this committee that part of the mandate of this committee is to look into the sales and disposal of assets. And in looking into sales and disposal of assets, we have to look into the process in which the sale happened, right? So for cattle or and vehicles, cattle in particular, there was a High Court order that preceded the establishment of the commission. And then the commission made an order and then deferred to the High Court. So, of course, questions would be asked on that, for clarity to be gained on that particular process. Same for vehicles. There was a High Court order handing the vehicles or putting the vehicles in the custody of the Registrar General, and then the commission investigated how these vehicles were bought, and then eventually personnel from the commission were given an order to go and sell these vehicles to preserve the value that can be derived from those vehicles. So that is the reason why questions are asked about the process. And as lawyers, we know that for any question to be raised or anything to be done, especially I can fully remember that, but the Honorable Justice Mahoney would say in evidence classes, you have to lay the foundation at all times. And in order to lay the foundation for questions being asked or for such an inquiry, we have to start to look into the process. And that is why questions would be asked of what is the establishment process? It's not to be malicious to any person or any institution that took part in the establishment of the commission, aided the commission in its work, and even towards the end in executing or carrying out the recommendations of the commission, in which the government accepted through the white paper. But it's just to follow, to make sure that everything that's being done, it's clear. Clarity is what the assembly wants, and that is what the assembly is going after, and clarity is what we hope that when the report of the committee is finally tabled before the assembly, that we hope that everybody, including everyone that worked with the commission or everyone that is working with the committee and the general public and Gambians at large, will gain that clarity so that whatever is out there can be laid to rest. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you so very much, Council. It was good that you clarified.
So I had two questions for the witness. I don't know whether Honorable Chair has making some. Honorable Fofana, I know you have to go to FPAC. I have to be there as well, but please.
Honorable Council.
It's very short. A very short question.
afraid
The
that
first
the-
one is
I'm afraid that the
actually
witness
is
already
one
gave-
question. Actually, can I go ahead, please? One question, please.
You can go ahead.
So, Ms. Bensouda, this question is tapping into your experience as a state law officer when you worked at the Ministry of Justice. In your experience there, you've stated here in your introduction that you worked at the Ministry of Justice for more than a decade, and that you subsequently did become Solicitor General. There's a question that has been hovering on my mind since the work of this committee. And I just wanted to ask, in your time as Solicitor General at the Ministry of Justice, I don't know how long it is, maybe it might have been a short duration, you let us know. Were you ever involved in land transactions, as in the Solicitor General selling land on behalf of the government.
Selling land.
Yes,
Solicitor General.
yes,
Selling land on behalf of the government.
yes. Is this something that you've ever
I
experienced?
can't remember. I do remember that the Ministry of Finance can be set up to sell land because there was a point when I think the thinking was that instead of allocating land for free, land should be sold. But
Okay,
if I recollect also, there was an issue with what happened, and then there was the Mahoney Commission
mhm,
to actually investigate how the land was sold from the Ministry of Finance.
okay.
Mhm.
But never the Ministry of Justice.
Ministry of Justice doesn't have a mandate to sell land.
Thank you very much.
The Ministry of Justice will prepare legal documents, but the mandate to deal with government assets usually floats between the Vice President during that period.
Yes.
Like all mortgages would be signed by the Vice President, and sale of land is very rare. As I said, this was but that would be signed by that would be the Ministry of Finance that would sign the agreement. But preparing agreements, yes. Of course, perhaps you're asking about privatization?
No.
Okay.
Yes. So,
And I was Solicitor General for 4 years.
for 4 years. Okay, thank you.
Okay. You have a follow-up?
Yes.
Okay.
But if
Mr.
you wanted
Chair.
to say something, then maybe
No, nothing related to.
to the question.
I don't think so.
Okay. Just the last one, I promise, Honorable Chair, is that the process of selling land for government, and we can see that in the reports of the Commission, particularly is it Volume 3, if I'm not wrong, which deals with special landed.
Yeah, all land, yes.
Yes, the landed properties, the volume that deals with that of the report. There are recommendations for landed property to be sold by the government, which the government to some extent has accepted some of these recommendations of the Commission.
Yes.
Now I know the report is the report of the Commission, but
Yes.
as counsel for the Commission, perhaps maybe you can help this committee gain clarity in what was the Commission foreseeing when it came to the process of selling land. Is it just to gain what the government of the Gambia or what the state had lost through the actions of the former president? And secondly, the propriety of selling land, government selling land. Who do you think should sort of take ownership of the process?
All right. First, the Commission did not tell them how to do it because they expect the government has its processes and it will deploy those processes. During my time, as I said, Ministry of Finance was responsible for government assets.
Okay.
So no asset could be sold without the Ministry of Finance. They should sign the agreement.
Okay.
No loan can be given without the Vice President because the Vice President was responsible for loans. But portfolios are assigned
responsible
for loans.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because these were usually staff loans. But it's the President who assigns portfolio.
Yes.
And he can decide to assign a portfolio to anyone. But in regard to what would happen, the Cabinet had to set a process. But that is what I would expect, that the Commission had made recommendations and Cabinet should set a process as to how those recommendations should be implemented.
Okay.
And I hope that's what they did. I hope so. At least the President, because the President accepts the recommendation, but
Yes.
he takes it to Cabinet.
Yes.
When Cabinet acts as a body, and they should set a process because it's this commission is a one-off thing. It's not a routine thing. So government would not have had a procedure in place for implementation of the reports of such a commission. But government is government. It sits and it maps a procedure, puts people in charge of it, and then the procedure should follow because it has to be legitimate, right? It has to be legitimate.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm leaving here relieved that there is no evidence that I sold any or bought any land from Yaya Jammeh, and I want everybody to hear that because, neither I, nor my family member, nor my lawyers in my firm bought or sold assets belonging to the ex-president. Mr. Chairman, am I right?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bensouda. I'm not sure we're gonna keep you long again. We appreciate your coming. Like I said earlier on, it was good having you for the past 3 or 4 days. I think
4 days
4. Good. Thank you.
altogether.
We will not keep you long. We will have to release you to go.
Thank
And
you.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. Maybe council. We don't need Miss Mansoura again. Maybe.
As far as he's pulling your legs, but no. If we ever, in our analysis, maybe if we come up with something we need clarity, we would probably
Certainly.
just write.
Certainly. Thank you so very much.
I'd be
Miss
happy
Mansoura.
to
Or maybe if she goes back and reflects in her own time that there's something she needs to provide for the committee, explanations or whatever, she's free to do that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Ms.
Very
Mansoura.
well.
Thank you. You're released. Have a good night. Thank you.